Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Daily Chat English. I'm Emily.
Hi, Emily. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Paul. Excited about our topic today.
Me too. I think it's something a lot of our listeners are interested in.
Absolutely. Today, we're going to talk about something really important for many of you: how to get a high score on the IELTS exam.
That's right. The IELTS, or the International English Language Testing System, is a test that many people need to take for different reasons, like studying abroad, working in an English-speaking country, or even for immigration.
Exactly. And getting a good score can really open up a lot of doors. So, we thought it would be helpful to share some tips and strategies. Before we dive in, though, a quick reminder to our listeners. If you find this helpful, please share this episode with your friends who are also learning English or planning to take the IELTS. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a like. It really helps us to keep creating these lessons for you. Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is the IELTS, Paul?
Well, Emily, as you mentioned, IELTS stands for the International English Language Testing System. It's a standardized test designed to assess the English language proficiency of non-native speakers. It tests four main skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
That's right. And there are two main types of IELTS tests: academic and general training. The academic test is usually for people who want to study at a university or other higher education institution, while the general training test is often for those who are going to work or immigrate to an English-speaking country.
It's important to know which test you need to take, as the reading and writing sections are different for each one. The listening and speaking sections are the same for both.
So, how is the test structured? Can you give us a brief overview of each section?
Sure. Let's start with listening. This section has 4 parts, and you'll listen to recordings of native English speakers. You'll hear things like conversations and monologues, and then you have to answer questions about what you heard. There are about 40 questions in total, and you have about 30 minutes for the listening itself, plus 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet.
It can be tricky because you only hear each recording once, so it's really important to listen carefully and try to take notes if that helps you.
Definitely. And the types of questions can vary. You might have multiple choice questions, fill in the blanks, matching exercises, and more. Next is the reading section. For the academic test, you'll read 3 long texts, which are usually from academic journals, books, or magazines. For the general training test, the texts are shorter and come from everyday materials like notices, advertisements, company handbooks, and newspapers.
Right. And in both versions, you'll have to answer 40 questions in 60 minutes. Just like in the listening section, the questions can be different types, such as multiple choice, true, false, not given, matching headings, and sentence completion. Time management is really crucial in the reading section. You need to be able to read efficiently and understand the main ideas and details of the texts.
Absolutely. Then we have the writing section. This is where the 2 tests differ the most. In the academic test, there are 2 tasks. Task 1 is usually describing a visual, like a graph, chart, table, or diagram in your own words. You need to write at least 150 words in about 20 minutes. Task 2 is an essay, where you need to discuss a topic and give your opinion. You need to write at least 250 words in about 40 minutes.
And for the general training test, task 1 is usually writing a letter in response to a given situation. You might need to ask for information, explain a situation, or make a complaint. You need to write at least 150 words in about 20 minutes. Task 2 is also an essay on a general topic where you need to present your opinion and support it with arguments. You also need to write at least 250 words in about 40 minutes.
It's really important to pay attention to the word count and the time limits for each task, and remember to write clearly and organize your ideas logically. Finally, we have the speaking section. This is a face-to-face interview with an examiner, and it usually takes about 11 to 14 minutes. It has 3 parts.
Yes, part 1 is like an introduction, where the examiner will ask you general questions about yourself, your hobbies, your work or studies, and so on. This part usually lasts about 4 to 5 minutes.
Part 2 is called the cue card or topic card. The examiner will give you a card with a topic, and you'll have 1 minute to prepare and then speak for about 1 to 2 minutes. You'll also be asked 1 or 2 follow-up questions.
And part 3 is a more in-depth discussion related to the topic. In part 2, the examiner will ask you more abstract and analytical questions. This part lasts about 4 to 5 minutes.
The speaking test is all about communicating effectively and fluently. It's important to speak clearly, use a good range of vocabulary and grammar, and try to answer the questions fully.
So, that's an overview of the IELTS test. Now let's talk about how to get a high score. What are some general tips that can help in all sections?
Well, the first thing is to practice, practice, practice. The more familiar you are with the format of the test and the types of questions, the more confident you'll feel on test day.
Absolutely. There are many resources available online and in books that offer practice tests and exercises. It's a good idea to do as many as you can under timed conditions to simulate the real test environment.
Another important tip is to improve your overall English language skills. This includes expanding your vocabulary, improving your grammar, and working on your pronunciation.
Yes, and try to use English in your daily life as much as possible. Watch English movies and TV shows, listen to English podcasts and music, read English books and articles, and try to speak English with friends or language partners.
That's great advice. And when you're practicing, it's also helpful to identify your weaknesses and focus on improving those areas. For example, if you struggle with listening comprehension, you might want to spend more time doing listening exercises.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for feedback. If you have a teacher or a language partner, ask them to listen to you speak or read your writing and give you constructive criticism. Okay, let's dive into each section and talk about specific strategies for getting a high score. Let's start with the listening section. What are some tips for acing this part?
For listening, it's crucial to read the questions before the recording starts. This will give you an idea of what to listen for.
That's a great tip. It helps you focus your attention on the key information. Also, pay attention to keywords in the questions. These words can help you identify the part of the recording where the answer might be.
And don't try to understand every single word. Sometimes you can get the answer by understanding the main idea or key phrases. It's also important to be aware of distractors. The speakers might mention something that sounds like the answer but is actually incorrect. Listen carefully to the context.
Another thing is to practice different accents. The recordings might feature speakers with various English accents, so it's good to get used to hearing different pronunciations. And finally, if you miss an answer, don't panic and spend too much time trying to remember it. Just move on to the next question. You don't want to miss the answers to the subsequent questions.
Those are all excellent tips for the listening section. Now, what about the reading section? How can our listeners improve their scores there?
For reading, time management is key. You have 60 minutes to answer 40 questions based on 3 long texts in the academic test or several shorter texts in the general training test. It's a good idea to quickly skim each text to get a general understanding before you start answering the questions.
Yes, skimming helps you understand the main idea of each passage. Then, when you look at the questions, you can go back and scan the text for specific information. Scanning involves looking for key words or phrases related to the question.
It's also important to understand the different types of reading skills that are tested. These include understanding the main ideas, finding specific details, understanding inferences and implied meanings, recognizing the writer's purpose and attitude, and following the development of an argument.
So, practicing these different skills is crucial. You can do exercises that focus on identifying the main idea, finding specific information, or making inferences. Another common challenge in the reading section is vocabulary. The texts can contain some unfamiliar words.
While you don't need to understand every single word, having a wide vocabulary will definitely help. Try to learn new words regularly and pay attention to how they are used in context. If you encounter an unfamiliar word during the test, try to guess its meaning from the surrounding words and sentences. Don't let one word stop you from understanding the whole passage.
And just like in the listening section, be careful with true, false, not given questions. Not given means that the information is not mentioned in the text, even if it seems logical or plausible.
Finally, practice reading different types of texts depending on whether you're taking the academic or general training test. This will help you get familiar with the style and vocabulary used in those types of materials. Those are all very helpful tips for the reading section. Now let's move on to the writing section, which many people find challenging. What advice do you have for getting a good score in writing?
In the writing section, it's really important to understand the task requirements. Make sure you know exactly what you are being asked to do and who you are writing for if it's a letter in the general training test.
Yes, and plan your answer before you start writing. Take a few minutes to brainstorm ideas and organize them in a logical way. This will help you write a well-structured and coherent response.
For task 1, describing a visual or writing a letter, make sure you address all the key points in the prompt and meet the word count requirement. In the academic test, when describing a graph or chart, focus on the main trends and significant data. In the general training test, when writing a letter, use the appropriate tone and include all the necessary information.
For task 2, the essay, it's crucial to present a clear thesis statement in your introduction and support your arguments with relevant evidence and examples in the body paragraphs. Make sure your essay has a logical flow and that your ideas are well connected. Pay attention to your grammar and vocabulary. Try to use a range of grammatical structures and a wide vocabulary, but make sure your writing is accurate. Don't try to use complex language if you're not sure you're using it correctly.
It's also important to manage your time effectively in the writing section. Spend the recommended amount of time on each task and leave some time at the end to review and edit your writing for any errors. Another tip is to practice writing different types of essays and reports for academic task 1 or letters for general training task 1. This will help you get familiar with different writing styles and formats.
And finally, if possible, get feedback on your writing from a teacher or someone with strong English skills. They can point out areas where you can improve. Those are all excellent points for the writing section. Now, let's talk about the speaking section. What are some strategies for performing well in the interview?
For the speaking section, fluency and coherence are very important. Try to speak smoothly and connect your ideas logically. Don't worry too much about making small grammatical errors as long as they don't impede understanding.
Yes, and try to speak at a natural pace. Don't speak too quickly or too slowly. It's also important to use a good range of vocabulary and grammatical structures. Show the examiner that you can express yourself in different ways.
In part 1, when you're asked general questions about yourself, try to give more than just short one-word answers. Elaborate a little and provide some details. For part 2, the cue card, make sure you use the 1 minute of preparation time effectively. Jot down some key ideas or points you want to talk about. When you speak for the 1 to 2 minutes, try to cover all the points on the card.
And in part 3, the discussion part, try to answer the questions fully and provide reasons and explanations for your opinions. This is your chance to show your ability to discuss more abstract topics.
It's also important to listen carefully to the examiner's questions and make sure you understand what they are asking. If you're not sure, you can ask them to repeat or clarify the question. Maintain good eye contact with the examiner and try to appear confident and engaged in the conversation. A friendly and positive attitude can also help.
And just like with the other sections, practice is key. Try to practice speaking English as much as possible, especially in a conversational setting. You can practice with friends, language partners, or even record yourself speaking and listen back to identify areas for improvement.
Those are all fantastic tips for the speaking section.
So, to summarize, getting a high score on the IELTS requires thorough preparation, consistent practice, and a good understanding of the test format and the skills being assessed.
Yes, Emily. And remember, it's not just about knowing a lot of English. It's also about knowing how to use your English skills effectively in the context of the test.
Exactly. So make sure you familiarize yourself with the different sections, practice the different types of questions, and work on improving your overall English language proficiency. And don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Learning a language and preparing for a test takes time and effort. Just keep practicing and stay motivated.
That's right, Paul. That's right. Every little bit of practice you do will help you improve. And remember to focus on your weaknesses and seek feedback when you can.
So, to all our listeners who are preparing for the IELTS, we hope these tips have been helpful. Remember to stay positive, work hard, and believe in yourself. You can do it.
Yes, and please, if you found this episode helpful,
Don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Daily Chat English. Give us a like and share this episode with anyone you know who might also benefit from it. We'd also love to hear from you. In the comments below, let us know if you have any specific questions about the IELTS or any other English learning topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes.
Thanks for tuning in today, everyone. Bye for now.
Goodbye and good luck with your IELTS preparation.